When I think of cigars, I think of a melting pot of culture. From the ancient Indian traditions that make up my very bloodline, to their Spanish predecessors that ultimately perfected this technique. It's not lost on me that I enjoy this ritual with brothers and sisters that look nothing like me. And isn't that amazing? That you or I could come from polar opposites of the globe and yet still have this in common. The love and admiration of a quality smoke rolled by people from around the world. Every cigar has a story. Where it's from, how it's made, who rolled it. But some stories are left untold. And like all great mysteries, the lure is in trying to solve it. Or in this case, smoke it. I'm Tony Leon, and this is Blowin Smoke. If you were a 90s kid like myself, then Saturday morning cartoons were everything. I'm talking Kids WB, Toonami. These shows made up a bulk of my childhood. Till this day, I will play whatever Pokemon comes out, occasionally binge watch some Dragon Ball Z, and yes, I still have my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. The nostalgia is not lost on me. Given the theatrical animations and intricate storylines, anime was my first introduction to Japanese culture. A culture that still eludes me to this day. After graduating from the Super Nintendo, I saw my cousin playing a demo that would redefine what video games meant to me. You see, up until then, I had never seen a game that would incorporate a plot that was as big as its set pieces. This game would go on to become my favorite of all time, Metal Gear Solid. As I got older, the franchise continued to expose me to more and more Japanese art, leaving me hooked. Hideo Kojima became my Kurosawa, as I found myself more immersed with each iteration of his protagonist, Snake. And it didn't hurt that the big boss himself enjoyed a cigar from time to time. Looking back as an adult, it's hard not to notice the impact that two islands played in my life. Albeit being a Puerto Rican American is a vastly different experience than someone born in Osaka, it's where our worlds collide that truly fascinates me. In my opinion, there is nothing better in the world than a well-seasoned Wagyu beef patty topped off with a nice brioche bun. And that to me is what life is all about. A cultural blending of ideas in order to elevate the experience at hand. This is how we got some of the best whiskey coming out of the world today. In the land of the rising sun, Shinjiro Tori was an importer specializing in wines and liquor. With dreams of wanting to produce these spirits of the outside world himself, he sought out the help of Masataka Taketsuru, who had just moved back from Scotland after learning the secret art of whiskey making. And it is through this marriage of minds that we have to thank for establishing Japanese whiskey as we know it today. And for our drink today, we are using the White Oak Blend from Agashi. Just across the waters of Osaka on Kobe Bay sits the Higashima Distillery. This is the closest whiskey distiller to the coast, making the ocean air and local climate simple for whiskey, yet complex in flavor. The cocktail of choice is none other than the Japanese Highball. I heard it said best that the Japanese take mundane tasks and then turn them into an art form, and this drink is no exception. The recipe consists of only the finest ingredients and precision, so pay attention. You are going to need a block of clear ice chiseled down by a knife forged in Japanese steel. Okay, I made that last part up. But you're going to add water and stir until the glass is chilled. Then strain out the water and add 2 ounces of Japanese whiskey. Now you're going to stir exactly 13.5 times clockwise. No joke. Then you just add 3 parts soda water to the side, being careful not to touch the ice, and stir 3 more times. Finally, gently lift the ice to ensure no unwanted bubbles between the 2 drinks. And if you want, you have the option to garnish this with the lemon peel. Now, I can only imagine what the cigar rolling process must look like in Japan. But luckily, I didn't have to look too far to find one. Because last year, I received a box from Privada that contained a cigar that inspired this very episode. The Japan Highland Maduro from Archive Cigars. It contains a Mexican San Andres wrapper with a Brazilian binder and a medley of Honduran, Dominican, and Nicaraguan filler, which perfectly pick up the subtle cinnamon tobacco notes from the whiskey. The Japan Highland Maduro earns my first 10 out of 10. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke, but the world seems a little smaller with this one. The irony that a Puerto Rican from Atlanta has a show pairing a whiskey beverage inspired from Scotland with a cigar that was intended for Japan. And I'm here for bridging that gap, one cigar at a time. Kanpai.